So this is 3 things that you might not realise is actually neurodivergent masking. So number 1 is faking interest in other people's stuff. So do you ever find yourself talking to one person or a group of people and a topic of conversation comes up, but you might find it really boring? It's not something you know anything about or you're not interested about. But actually what you find yourself doing is faking what your opinion is on this particular thing. So rather than say, oh, I don't know anything about that, or say, actually, I don't find it particularly interesting, you wouldn't want to be doing that. So you might even go away and research the topic and come back so you've got some information about it. You might just try and ask lots of questions to get them to talk about it a lot, pretend you're interested, smile along, that kind of thing. Now, that kind of faking of interest is usually done for safety because it's a deep need for belonging from neurodivergent people, because we've often had trauma around social situations. We've often been misunderstood, we've had miscommunications happen, and this is our way of smoothing things over to try and keep safe. And it may be that you learn over time that people weren't interested in your passions and your interests, so you just stop sharing that with people. Number 2 is that you match your tone or your expression or your energy with the other person. Now that can be neurodivergent masking. We might copy their accent, we might copy the phrases they use, and it is an attempt at connection, and often it's done unconsciously actually, but we can then become conscious of it as we learn about our neurodivergence quite often. Now again, we're doing this for safety, we're doing this for connection, but it can make us feel like we're not being authentic in the moment, and it can make us feel like people don't know the real us. And number 3 is using phrases like, does that make sense? Or, sorry, I'm rambling, or, oh, you probably don't know what I mean by that. Those kind of qualifiers, and we are apologising for ourselves in those statements, actually often come again from a deep need for connection and to feel understood. We've often had times where we've been misunderstood, as I said, and therefore that's a wound for us. We don't want to feel rejected, so we're desperately trying to make sure the other person is with us. And I use does that make sense a lot, and I use it in my everyday life, and I also use it when I'm a client in therapy. It often comes into therapy. I will say, oh, does that make sense? And actually, I'm not really asking for a sense check from the therapist in that situation. It's more about me checking that she's with me and that she understands me. And that is so important to me and my nervous system in that moment. So that's just 3 examples of maybe things that you might not have realised are masking, but actually could well be neurodivergent masking. Now, masking is not limited to just neurodivergent communities. Often people in other marginalised groups will also resonate with this idea of masking. So let me know if that was helpful, and put in the comments about your experiences of masking.